Hello everybody, you're watching Channel 1. I do hope you're all well, and in this video I am continuing to work on my Citroen Xsara Picasso. You may remember from part 1 of the video, it's got a number of faults, one of which being ABS failure. And in doing a couple of little jobs on the car, I disconnected the battery, which seemed to have I wouldn't say cured the fault, but certainly removed it from lighting on the dash. Until today, when I put the key in, turn the engine on, purely because I didn't expect the fault just to magically go away by disconnecting the battery, and lo and behold, the light is coming up as failing again, or still. So I'm going to go through today having a check over the ABS sensors, see if there's anything I can find. Now, other than the standard tools for removing the wheels from the car, I'll go through here what else I've used, and you don't actually need all of these either. I've got a good strong trolley jack, an axle stand, a pair of pipe clamps there. There's also a M5 Allen key, a 10mm and a 13mm socket. There's a T30 Torx driver or star driver, depending on what you want to call it. A ratchet for the sockets and a flat bladed screwdriver. For lubing and cleaning, I've also got a can of WD-40 and some carb cleaner. Brake cleaner would probably work just as well, but I know carb cleaner is a little bit more aggressive, so it might help a little bit more. I'm going to start with the front left hand corner of the car. I've already got it jacked up here in the axle stand underneath, and I'm going to get that front left wheel off. Start with that by just getting the flat blade screwdriver, popping it behind the little centre cap and popping that off. Remove the wheel as you would any other day of the week that you need to. And behind the front brake disc you will see this little item here, which is actually a protective cover over the ABS sensor. Because they rust and corrode quite badly because of their location and the fact they're not touched very much at all, I'm going to give the bolt or the nut that holds that cover on a liberal dose of WD-40. And while I'm here, the yellow circles are just other areas I'm going to give a little spray. There are a few other little bits and bobs I spray with WD-40 as well under there, just because while you're at it, you might as well keep them lubed up, because you never know on a car this age when you're going to have to change something, and it's nice just to give yourself a fighting chance of getting things undone. So, using the 10mm socket on top of the little nut over that cover, just ratchet it off, and fortunately that has come away quite cleanly. So remove the protective cover and you will see the ABS sensor still bolted into the hub of the car there. Again, I'll give that a good spraying with WD-40, just to give myself a fighting chance of not snapping a bolt or stripping a thread or having some other problems. I've actually got a ring spanner over the end of it here, the 13mm, but I quickly put my 13mm socket over it and use that. Just makes things a little easier. And sure enough, that bolt, which you can see is quite long because it holds the ABS sensor in. Then there's a big standoff ready for the cover to sit proud of the sensor and protect it. And with that out, I get my pliers or my pipe clamps, and just using the one jaw of them, the one circled in red, I rest it on one of the edges of the ABS sensor and just tease it forward a little bit to try and loosen things up. The jaw circled in yellow is not touching the sensor. I am not trying to hold the sensor with them or grip it or squeeze them. It is just using something to slowly loosen it and pry it away from the hub. And sure enough, it frees it enough to be able to pull it out and inspect the sensor part of it, which is the very tip. And it's a little bit dirty, as you expect, so I will give that a clean with my carb cleaner or brake cleaner, or whatever you have to hand, as I say. You can just rub them off with a cloth if you really want, and you can see that they're nice and clean. Can't see any noticeable damage to it. And here we get to something which may upset some proper mechanics. Before reinstalling the sensor and the bolt, I put a bit of copper grease on the end of the securing bolt. Now, the reason why this is a bit of a bone of contention is it should really be Loctited in place and torqued up very lightly. But because I may have to change it again very soon, and because the thought of this getting stuck and snapped off in the position it's in fills me with dread, I would rather make sure I'm going to be able to get it out again if I need to. So yeah, I can't really recommend doing this. This is just what I have done. You make your own decisions. But this is the way I've approached it and what I've done. So with the sensor back in and its securing bolts also refitted again using a 13mm socket, I popped the dust cover, dirt seal, protective cap, whatever it wants to be called, back on, and again I pop a little bit of copper grease inside the nut and tighten that down on top of the cover, and essentially that is one corner checked and done. I don't actually have any means of plugging the sensor in, checking whether it works. I am really just looking for any noticeable damage or anything I can find that might be a cause to this ABS light coming on. So with that done, it's back on with the wheel, and note the wheel has a little recess in a part of it, and the wheel center cap has a couple of little prongs. If you don't get these lined up, the center cap doesn't fit flush to the wheel. So one corner done, and we start all over again on the other side. This is the front right now, up again on an axle stand. Similar method, or exactly the same method. Screwdriver beyond the center cap, pop that off, take the wheel off, and you're presented with the same type of thing, protective cover and the nut. So it's on with 10mm socket. You'll see a liberal spraying of WD-40 over the nut that I'm going to be undoing, and a few of the various parts that might need to be tinkered with at some point in the future. You might as well while you're under here. And that nut again, shock of shocks, comes off first go. I gotta admit, the reason why I did all the corners separately in this video is because I genuinely don't expect all of the nuts and bolts in here to come off freely. It's not my luck. Something's going to strip, snap, something's going to go wrong. Wait and see what happens. But this nut has come off, so the dust cover can also come off, and I give the securing bolt for the sensor another liberal dose of WD-40, and using the 13mm socket, that bolt as well comes out quite freely. You can see slightly better on this one, the fact that I've just got one jaw of my pipe clamps just resting behind the sensor. There's a little groove in the hub where you can get behind it just to be able to give you the opportunity to do this. I don't think it was designed that way, it just fits that way. And that the second jaw of the pipe clamps isn't actually touching the sensor at all. And again, that loosens it up enough to be able to put it clear. And I give it a clean. Same method again, you know, I couldn't see anything really wrong with it. So back in with the sensor, back in with its securing bolt, on with its dust cover, and dust cover securing nut. And then I noticed this hub hadn't had any lubricant. I know you shouldn't really put loads of lubricant around your hubs anyway, because you don't want it getting on the discs. But has anybody out there who's had an alloy wheel stuck to the hub of their car with a flat tyre, probably going to be at night, in the rain, massive nightmare. So what I tend to do is, when I've had a wheel off, I will just put a light amount of copper slip, graphite grease, even petroleum jelly, just something around where the wheel fits on to stop any corrosion build up and stop that nightmare of having a wheel unbolted but still stuck to the hub and needing belting from behind to try and free it. And with the front two sensors checked and seemingly okay, I get in, turn the car over, and lo and behold, the fault is still showing. So, on to the rear of the car. Starting with the rear right hand side, and I've got a picture here of the wire going to the sensor. It's quite difficult to see actually where the sensor is from behind and underneath the car here. So I oh, excuse me a sec. I know I should pause that for that, but never mind. I jack it up, get the wheel off, and looking down from above the rear brake disc behind it, I've circled the sensor there. And I apologise for some of the pictures, not just this one here, but throughout this, because there are some a little blurry and things, and this one just happens to have the sun behind it, so it's not a great picture. But there is the sensor, and in yellow is the bolt that you need to remove. Note there is no protective cover over the rear ones. I'm guessing they think the trailing arm of the suspension and things protects it enough from getting any serious dirt and damage onto it. But I give it a spray with WD-40. You'll see it's quite badly corroded. So fingers crossed it's going to come out. having a good a look at it as I can, it looks like an Allen key, but the Allen key did not fit very well. So I squoze in the tightest fitting Torx screwdriver that I could, which happened to be a T30. And no, the bolt come out beautifully. You can see a little bit of Loctite on it there from the factory. And I'll just show in the next picture that it is actually an M5 bolt head. So it needs an M5 Allen key realistically, but as I say, didn't want it round enough. It's awkward enough place as it is. I don't mind damaging the head, hammering a Torx driver into it, which I didn't actually need to hammer it in. It did slide in okay, but I don't mind replacing a bolt as long as I can get it out. Rounding them off and stripping them, just as anybody's ever done it knows, it's a nightmare, particularly in locations like this on a vehicle. So with the bolt out, I give around the centre another spray WD-40, and just pop in the flat blade screwdriver, giving a little tap to get between the sensor and the hub, and giving a little twist as I go round, just walking the screwdriver around the sensor to free it up, because you can't get pipe clamps around this where it is to give it a little nudge and a push. You just haven't got that that groove to get behind it and start it moving. So this was the best way I could think of. I wouldn't recommend grabbing it and giving it a twist, because they are only plastic. Chances are you're going to end up snapping the part where the cable goes into it, and you could then be damaging a working sensor. So yeah, walk the screwdriver around, got one here looking down from the top as I go around, and sure enough, again that sensor pops out beautifully. It's a slightly different type to the front one. The front ones have flat ends. This has a tapered end, and you can see a fair bit of dirt built up on it. So using my my cleaning spray and a cloth, just give that a clean up. Have a little look through the hole left in the hub. Hasn't got the same type of sensor ring on it as the front ones has, which is probably why the sensor is different. Quite what it picks up on, I do not know, but you can't see anything in there. But with it being cleaned, I pop it back in. Again, my dubious using copper slip rather than Loctite on the little bolt. I can only say you should use Loctite and torque them up correctly. This is merely a video of what I have done. In a hope it helps you locate them in the first place, or locate the ABS sensors in the first place. So with that tightened up, sensor back in, that is that wheel now checked and done. I have a picture here now of the rear left hand sensor with the wheel in place. You can at a push check or replace all of these with the wheels on the car. As I say, a number of the tools I've got or I've used, even though there's only a handful of them, you still don't need all of them to complete the job. But that is that bolt behind this rear left hand wheel, and there is again just an idea of roughly where the sensor is. That's that red banana thing there is the cable that goes to it. But with the wheel off, um, uh, I have this picture here of the sensor, and circled in yellow is its securing bolt again. Now, because the exhaust runs down the left hand side of the car, it's a little bit limited, not so much for access. I wouldn't say it's any worse than the right hand side, but certainly in terms of getting photos, it's a bit more difficult. So this one, yeah, some of the pictures are at some funny angles. But anyway, there is the sensor. I've given it a spray with some WD-40 again, and using the same TX30 as I used on the opposite side. Again, purely because the amount of corrosion on the bolt. Trying to push an Allen key in to a corroded bolt. If it's not in very far, you start rounding the very end of it off, and it can become a nightmare. So I prefer to bosh a TX bit in there, and just showing again that yeah, it is an M5 Allen key that should be used. And same technique here, getting the screwdriver, just working it between the sensor and the hub, working it round, and that frees it up enough just to pop it out. And it is equally as dirty as the opposite side. So quick spray with cleaning fluid and rub with a cloth, gets all that off. And it's time to start installing it again. So sensor back in, bit of copper slip on the thread, tighten that back up, and that is all 4 sensors checked on the car. And that is the worst of the job, to be fair, because if you need to replace them, it's just a matter of tracing the wire to the little plug that goes into the loom, disconnect whenever it is, feed the cable through, and fitting is exactly the same as I've showed with these ones here. So if you do need to replace one, the only thing I haven't shown here is tracing the cable back to where its connector fits in the car. But now I get in, stick the key in, turn the ignition, 1 flick, 1 turn, 1 click, whatever, just energizing the car and the battery. All the lights on the dash light up, showing me that they are all working, and then sure enough they go out as they are supposed to, leaving just the brake, the oil, the battery ones on, until I turn the key, when lo and behold all lights go off, save for the handbrake one. And I don't know what to say. I hope they just needed a little clean. It isn't normally my luck. The fact that none of the bolts broke or anything is a bonus for me. But that is effectively how to check and or replace ABS sensors if they are damaged, or if you know that they are faulty. I would like to add that my ODB reader did not even say there was a problem with the ABS, let alone tell me what sensor or what part of the circuitry might be failing. So this is literally just going in blind and checking from one part of the system to the other. Hopefully they just need a little clean. If not, they're not too dear, it's an old enough car as well. The only option I can think, if you really pushed, you can buy one, randomly change one. But if need be, if things keep reoccurring, I may end up buying all four. It's, let's say, it's less than 50 UK pounds to replace all four, because I just go for the bargain cheapest things that I can get, brand new in this instance. I'm not going to chance second-hand ones on this. But that seems to be one problem hopefully ticked off. If it reoccurs, as it did to prompt this part of the video, because I say part one, the fault had gone away then, but I did try repeatedly turning the car off and on, rolling it a few forwards and backwards on the drive. I'm not allowed to go much further than that because I have COVID, so the government will come and shoot me if I leave the house. Well, maybe not shoot me, but it's not ethically nice to go and risk infecting the population just for something like this. So yeah, I am stuck at home, which is why I've got the time to do this, and hopefully it has done it and fixed it permanently, long enough to get through the MOT anyway. So thank you all very much for watching. I hope this was of some use to you. If it was, do please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. It does make a big difference and can mean I might be able to get onto some slightly better things if I get enough subscribers. Certainly might mean I get a stand for my phone so I can do some videos rather than just stills. But for today, that is all I have. There still is the gearbox issue that I need to look at on the car, water leaking issue I need to look at on the car. The ODB reader picked up on a misfire on bank 1. Might be spark plugs, pound to a penny it's actually going to be an ignition coil, I would expect. This ABS fault may reoccur, and I might even get to some of the tightening up of dents and scratches that have been put on, but considering in my 4 or 5 years of ownership I haven't even washed the car once. I'm not kidding. I wouldn't say I'm proud of it, but I have better things to do, to be fair. So yeah, considering I've never even washed it, fixing cosmetics is not high on my priority list. But as I say, if I get enough subscribers and you're enjoying it enough, I will go around solving some of the other problems on the car and hopefully get on to fixing the Jaguar V12 that is also sat on my drive needing attention. So, thank you very much. I do hope you all stay safe. Take care. Peace, everybody.